Crowley. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, for the Mayor's full council this afternoon on 16th of October 2024. Agenda item 1 is Mayor's announcement. So good afternoon and welcome to this hybrid and webcast meeting of Council at 2 p.m. on the 16th of October 2024. Can I please remind you all to switch off your mobile phones and switch them to silent for the duration of this meeting. Please turn your microphones to mute unless you are speaking both in the chamber and remotely. Should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate either via the chat function or by raising your electronic hand via Teams, or if present in the chamber, please raise your hand. If accessing the meeting remotely, please only use the chat function to indicate that you wish to speak. I assume that you have all read the papers before you and before us today prior to the start of this meeting. Agenda item 2, Leader's announcements. Leader?
I have no announcements this afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Leader. Agenda item 3, Members' interests. Are there any interests to declare? Please indicate by raising your hand via Teams, or if present in the chamber, please raise your hand and when called, state the details. Stacey, can you confirm if there's anybody who wishes to speak?
I can see no interest declared, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Stacey. Agenda item 4, previous minutes. Please see the minutes of the previous meeting of Council attached at pages 3 to 24. To approve for accuracy, could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Happy to propose, Mr. Mayor.
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you both. Is there anyone who wishes to abstain from the vote? Please raise your hand.
I can see no abstentions.
Thank you, Stacey. Council, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, it will be assumed that you are in favour of the recommendations.
Mr. Mayor, I can see no indication to the contrary, therefore those minutes are approved as an accurate record. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacey. Agenda item 5, public question time. I can confirm that we have received no notifications to speak at today's meeting. Agenda item 6, update to Constitution to reflect joint working arrangements. Can I therefore call upon Craig Griffiths, Head of Legal and Democratic Services, to present the report, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So a short administrative report from myself, members, just to update the Constitution, our section specifically related to joint working arrangements following the joint committees that have been agreed previously by Council and the joint working agreement specifically that was established to allow the Celtic Freeport Public Funds Committee and Scrutiny Committee to be established. So it's just approval for me to swap the page over in the Constitution document to reference what all our joint committees are. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Craig. Members, are there any questions or comments? Please raise your hand or indicate via the chat function and I will call upon you in turn. Stacey, I don't see any. This is going to be a relatively short meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that. Council, can I have a proposer and seconder, please?
And happy to propose, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Leader.
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Wyndham. Is there anyone who wishes to abstain from the vote? Please raise your hand.
I can see no abstentions, Mr. Mayor.
Council, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, it will be assumed that you are in favour of the recommendations.
I can see no indications to the contrary, Mr Mayor. Therefore, that recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Stacey. Agenda item number 7, changes to committee membership. I call again on Craig Griffiths, Head of Legal and Democratic Services, to present the said report. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. So again, a short administrative report here, members. It's proposed that Councillor Sharon Freegar be removed as member of the Registration and Licensing Committee and Licensing and Gambling Act Committee, and Councillor Lauren Hurd be appointed in her place. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Craig. Members, are there any questions or comments? Please raise your hand or indicate via the chat function, and I will call upon you in turn. I don't see anybody. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor, happy to propose.
Thank you, Leader.
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wyndham. If there is anyone who wishes to abstain from the vote, please raise your hand.
I can see no abstentions, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Stacey. Council, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, it will be assumed that you are in favour of the recommendations.
Again, Mr Mayor, I can see no indications to the contrary. Therefore, that recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Stacey. Agenda item 8, notice of motion under section 10. I have received none. Agenda item 9, questions from members with notice under Rule 9.2 of the Council's Procedure Rules. I have received one question, and can I ask Councillor Wood, representing Sandfields West, to address Council, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The question I got on this is, how many Tata Steel employees have we interviewed for council jobs and then gone on to employ since the offer of a guaranteed interview was made to Tata staff affected by the blast furnace closures at Talbot Steelworks?
Thank you, Councillor Wood. A very apt question given the state of play in the county borough and particularly with Tata Steel. Thank you for that. Councillor Simon Noyle, Cabinet Member for Finance, Performance and Social Justice. Can I ask for your response to Councillor Wood, please?
Diolch, Mr Mayor, thank you. You'll all be aware that this council are hugely in support of all the employees of Tata Steel who are at risk of redundancy or have been made redundant in 2024. And we are offering a guaranteed interview for jobs across the council. Applicants, of course, must meet essential criteria for the post to qualify. And if an applicant is going to be affected by the job losses at Tata Steel, then absolutely we welcome applications from them. Applications will just need to make known on their application form that they are currently at risk of redundancy or have been made redundant. Currently, 9 former Tata employees have successfully secured employment with the council. We don't have the records of how many have applied and have been interviewed. I would like to say that members of the council, this council is leading the delivery of the board's funded employability programme, which seeks to match people seeking work with jobs available in the economy. A team to deliver the service has been in place since the 1st of September this year. And should members, anyone here or online, require a fuller briefing on the overall work that this team are doing to support the people at risk of redundancy, we would happy to provide that briefing. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Noyle. Have we got a supplementary question to that, Councillor Wood?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor, and thanks to the Cabinet Member for answering that succinctly there. I mean, 9 out of 2,000, I mean, you know, that's a very small drop in the ocean. But the question I would want to ask, as I have to put a question there, what more should and could be done by the Cabinet to improve outcomes for ex-Tata interviewees?
You turned in to answer that, Councillor Noyle.
Can you say the question again, please? I sound like a quiz show person now.
What more should and could be done by Cabinet to improve the outcomes for ex-Tata interviewees?
Well, all I can say to that is that, as I said just now, we're hugely in support of all the employees at Tata. And I believe the Transition Board is working with them as well over there. So if there are employees of Tata who are at risk of redundancy, maybe I should declare an interest because my wife's job is at risk. You know, we are actively seeking them to come and speak to us as council. And if they're aware of any jobs that are shown on the vacancy page, then they would apply for them. And of course, through the process, they would be guaranteed an interview to get through to the next stage. But I know that we've been very active, especially with the transition board, and Steve and Karen have been appointed to the transition board from the council's perspective to deal with that. I don't know if Steve's got anything further to add on it. I think he's nodding over there. But, you know, leave it be not no stone unturned in terms of trying to help those people that are affected. This council and this cabinet will help them as much as we possibly can.
Could I call on the Leader of Council to support what Councillor Noyle have said, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Just to clarify as well, Councillor Wood, there's an awful lot going on with the transition board within Neath Talbot Council, and I think we need to bring updated information to all members of this authority in due course. So that will be something I will do. So you'll have all up-to-date information. But as you're probably well aware, over in the what's the name of the place over there? Shopping centre. There's employee mobility. The community union launched only recently, and TATA's members, those at risk of losing their jobs, will be attending there as well. So there's an awful lot going on, but I think, as I said, I haven't got those details this afternoon. So I think we will bring back to full council and up-to-date information in relationship to your question, if that's okay with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader, for that. Agenda item 10, urgent items. I have no urgent items. However, I would like to invite the Leader of Council to speak, please.
Thank you once more, Mr Mayor. So lovely to see so many members online, and those of you in the chamber and officers here this afternoon. So, Mr Mayor, officers, members of council, today is the last full council meeting for our Chief Executive, Karen Jones. I am sure we will all have a mix of emotions as we bid farewell to her, though her actual leaving date is from this organisation will be middle of November. Before I speak more, I wanted to provide a little bit of background information showing her illustrious career. Karen began working for this council on the 14th of January 2003 as Head of Business Management for Social Services. In 2008, Karen became the Head of Corporate Strategy and Democratic Services. And in 2018, Karen was appointed Assistant Chief Executive and Chief Digital Officer before her final appointment as Chief Executive, a role she currently commenced on the 1st of January 2021. Prior to joining the council, Karen was a business manager for Estin and Head of Corporate and Development for South Wales Police. Karen is also a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. I think somebody's got their mic on. Thank you, Charlotte. I am both honoured and privileged to express our gratitude on behalf of the entire County Borough Council and the communities she has served in a remarkable way. Karen's journey with Neath Talbot Council has been marked by an outstanding dedication, resilience and unwavering commitment to the communities. Her influence has reached far beyond the confines of her role, touching the lives of many and shaping the very fabric of our council. Throughout Karen's distinguished tenure, she has been the embodiment of dedication with a vision and integrity to follow. Her leadership has been guided us through numerous challenges and triumphs. She has not only been the architect of progress, but also the heartbeat of our initiatives, always prioritising the welfare of her staff, members of council and our communities. Karen's tireless commitment to our borough has inspired everybody around her. She fostered an environment where creativity flourished and solutions were crafted with empathy and intelligence. Her ability to bring people together in so many partnerships has not only established a lasting legacy of collaboration, but has also left us in an indelible mark on every single one of us who have known her so well. On a personal level, Carol has been more than a chief executive. She has been a mentor, a confidant, and a friend. I am not sure where I would be without her guidance and support. This doesn't mean to say we haven't had moments, mind. As to deliver what we try to do under the pressures and circumstances we operate in would test anyone. But Karen has the ability to manage people, and I have certainly been a challenge for her, I'm sure. I believe Karen is quite unique, as I often refer to her as having a brain like a sponge. She soaks up all the information and can reproduce that important factual information as and when needed at any meeting or forum. Karen's warmth and wisdom have nurtured strong bonds and cultivated an ethos of inclusivity and respect that will continue to resonate with our organisations for years to come. Karen does know how to enjoy herself, however. And as the saying goes, what goes on tour stays on tour. So the less said about that this afternoon, the better. As she embarks on the new chapter of her life, we celebrate her achievements, but also look forward to seeing what comes next. As I'm sure she won't mind me saying that after a well-deserved break with her family, she will be starting a new role as a Democracy and Boundary Commission Cymru, responsible for reviewing and defining the boundaries of local government areas and the Senate's constituents in Wales. So her retirement is not the end, but the beginning of a new opportunity to explore different challenges, and I'm confident she will continue to do so to the very high standards she sets herself. I know I speak for those here today and the many officers, workforce, councillors who have previously worked with Karen in saying we are grateful, Karen, to your service and your unwavering dedication to all our communities in Neath Talbot. You leave with our best wishes and deepest appreciation. Have a well-deserved break, and we look forward to continue working with you in the very near future. So can I ask those online and everyone in the chamber to now join me with a round of applause for a remarkable lady, Karen Jones. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Leader, for them kind words. Is there anybody else who'd like to say a few words to wish Karen goodbye? Can I call on the political leaders first if they can't see the screens there? Wyndham? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Plaid Cymru Group, I would like to add our thanks to our Chief Executives, Mrs. Karen Jones, for many years of exemplary public service. During her time and different roles in Neath Talbot Council, she's always driven positive change, innovation, and improvement of standards and services. The qualities of personal and professional leadership have the universal respect of her colleagues, elected members across the chamber, the partners we work with in the private and voluntary sector, government officials and ministers, and the very many members of the public that Karen was in contact with. Our workers and staff members will know of the very personal interest that she takes in their work, progress and well-being. As councillors, we've always been supported by Karen and have benefited from her sound advice, her humour and occasional stern messages. I would particularly like to thank Karen for her guidance. As a new cabinet member, I was going to put young, but I thought I'd better not. After the last election, which is still a learning curve. As Chief Executive, she's enhanced the reputation of Neath Talbot as a local authority and equipped us to face many challenges, wherever it's the changes needed in the way we deliver services, managing increasingly difficult budgets, or most recently responding to the huge blow of the Tata redundancies. She has shown no signs of letting up since announcing her retirement, as hard-working and conscientious as always. I am sure she will continue to be active in many aspects of the public and community life of Neath Talbot. But even more important, she will have a bit more time of herself, her interest and her family. Karen, enjoy your retirement, as very short as it is, and deal. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Hello. Thank you, Wyndham, for that. Can I call on Councillor Laura Williams, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Labour Group, I'd like to firstly offer congratulations to you on your retirement. I'd also like to echo the thanks of the leader for your stewardship of the council over the last few years. We all know it hasn't been an easy task to be working in local government, and argumentatively it's been particularly challenging in the last few years. I think it's clear, no matter which administration has been in control, your advice, knowledge and guidance throughout has been valued and integral to keeping this council in direction. I know that in my brief time as Deputy Leader of the Labour Group, your advice and understanding has been invaluable, so a personal thank you for me on that note. It's fair to say that your experience and skills will certainly be missed. I once again would like to thank you and congratulate you on from the Labour Group and wish you well in your future endeavours.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Neath Jenkins, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the short time that I've known Karen, being a new councillor, I've been massively impressed by the wisdom, and I've appreciated every time I've had any guidance from her. Most importantly, I've been very impressed by her dedication to our communities. She's compassionate and she cares for every member of the community. Karen's passion and dedication to public service is truly astounding. And I'd like to thank her on behalf of all our communities. Diolch o galon, Karen.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. Councillor Carl Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Although not a political leader, please may I thank the outgoing Chief Executive, Karen Jones, for everything she's achieved for the authority since her appointment. Please may I also take the opportunity to thank her personally for what she's done to help me in my role as a county councillor in the Neath South Ward. Her knowledge and open door policy has been so welcoming to myself as a newbie in the role. Her aims and objectives when serving NPT are unequalled, and as a leader, as mentioned, her photographic knowledge of papers are paramount and can be witnessed when she's reading from her heart and not from a script. Diolch, Karen. Enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. Councillor Noyle, please. He told me. I thought you said Councillor Noyle. No.
I will say something then. I will say something if that's the case. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I think, yeah, I echo in what everybody else has said. I believe I was elected first in 2017, and then 2022 into this role. And Karen has played an important part in helping me with this role, which like Wyndham said, it's come new to us, and it's been really important that she's not held our hand, but guided us through this last 2.5 years. And yes, I wish you a very happy retirement, Karen. Sad to see you go, I must say, but obviously what you must do what's best for you, and I wish you well in your retirement. Thank you, Karen. Diolch.
Thank you for that swerve, Councillor Noyle. Councillor Ted Leatham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I fully endorse everything that's been said by the previous speakers about Karen? I'd just like to take this opportunity to personally, and I know I speak on behalf of Councillor Leanne Jones as well, can I personally thank Karen for all the help and support she gave the both of us during the 12 months or so that we were in position. It's greatly appreciated, and we really do, we're really very, very grateful. The leader spoke about your previous achievements, Karen, And I think if you go back to your very, very first job that you were telling me about, where you were a trainee accountant with Revlon Cosmetics, and you were made redundant, and on that very, very dark day, you didn't know which way to turn or where to go. And I think if you reflect on what you've done since and where you are today, I think it's fair to say that the girl done good. I like to wish you a very, very long, healthy, happy retirement. I'd encourage you to spend some time to go down to New Zealand, to spend more time with that family that you're so fond of and miss. But thank you, Karen, and best luck for the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lytham. Councillor Robwood, please.
Karen, I wish you all the best for the future, whatever your endeavour, whichever endeavour you wish to pursue, and thank you for all your support over the years, especially during my mayoral term. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. And Sean Percy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Of course, I have to agree with all my colleagues who've spoken already in terms of Karen's fantastic contribution to the council, certainly in the time that I've been here since 2017. There's a couple of things I want to just pick up on, and I think none of us can underestimate the challenge that Karen has had in being the chief executive and having to balance all of the political activities that go on in the council and keep the show on the road. And I think, I don't think she gets enough credit for how much work that does take. We've all got opinions, we've all got ideas, we've all got our agendas we're trying to push as members and in different administrations, and Karen has to somehow enable those aspirations and keep the show on the road. And I think you've done a fantastic job in that in particular, because there's a lot of stakeholders to manage and a lot of things to deal with there. But again, on a personal note from me, as a backbench councillor from 2017, you've always had an open door policy, and we've been able to sit and have a chat, have a Teams call, have a cup of tea, have a robust discussions at times. But that's really appreciated, to be able to access our chief executive and have those conversations. And it is really important. And you've always kept your word. And in particular, one example, when you interviewed for the chief executive job, and I remember at the time you committed to visiting all areas of the county and speaking to local members, and you followed through on that. And you came to us in Sandfields East, and you were driven round by Councillor Crowley, I think, round the ward. But those things really matter. You made that commitment, you stuck to it, and actually you had a lot of important insight from those meetings, I'm sure, across the whole county, that has definitely fed into a lot of the activities that have happened since. So that's just some of my experience, really. I've really appreciated you as a chief executive, and I'll certainly miss you professionally and personally. So good luck.
Thank you, Councillor Percy. Is there anybody else who'd like to say a few words? Ken Phillips?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to add I don't have a huge amount to add to what people have already said about Karen's time here, but I just wanted to add my personal thanks for your guidance, knowledge, wisdom and advice has been absolutely invaluable along my journey of becoming a councillor and taking on the role of cabinet member. And I'm sure I speak for the whole Liberal and Green group of Coed Frank and for everybody else when I wish you all the very best for the future. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. I'm not going to listen to him because he threw me a steer the last time.
Bob Wolford.
Councillor Bob Wolford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As one of the newest councillors in the council, I'd personally like to thank Karen for the support, advice and help and friendship she's given me since I've been here. And I'd like to wish her and Lee, I won't say a long retirement because I've got no doubt she's not going to retire, but just a long and happy life.
Thank you, Councillor Woolford. And Councillor Chris Williams online, the past mayor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Karen, I'd like to thank you personally for the support you give me in my mayoral year and the confidence you give me, sitting by my side in those meetings, which sometimes I was nervous, but you guided me through it. And also the Mayoress, Debbie Rees, expresses her gratitude as well. Good luck for the future, and I'm sure you're going to do well in your next project. And to say apologies, I can't be with you again. Can't be with you today. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for that. Councillor Ros Davis, please.
Diolch yn fawr. I'd like to thank you, Karen, for the dedication you have shown to the whole of Neath Talbot County Borough in your years before you became a Chief Executive and after, and how easy you are to speak to, and it means a lot. And thank you for your kindness towards me, especially when I was unwell. I wish you well for the future and wish you every good fortune. Thank you very much, diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. And finally, before me and Karen speak, so a little bit, oh, sorry. I'm very sorry. Councillor Charlotte Galsworthy, representing the Carmarthen and Bryn ward.
Everyone has said most things, but I think something that people have mentioned is basically when you first come in, I think it was like your first week, it was the screw and flood. Then we went into COVID. Now we've got Tata. So from a lot of the past chief execs, you've had a real, hard road really on things that you wasn't able to foresee or anything else, but you dealt with it fantastically. But from me personally, is that how you've actually helped me, because most people in this room know that I was like a spinning top when I first got elected. But obviously, I always remember being over Swansea, not Swansea, we've never been in Swansea. Neath, Neath, and basically we were talking about neurodiverse, and I said like a comment of, oh, I would have been ADHD if I was in school. But obviously it's a new DNA. But it was your face that basically got me thinking. And then I said to Lisa Livingstone, Karen made a funny face at me earlier. And then she just laughed at me. She said, don't you think you are then? And that was like a journey for me then. And basically the last sort of 4 or 5 years of that basically have developed me, as a person now. And anyone that have been on that journey with me will actually see how I have developed. Even I've seen it myself. I'm a lot more chilled out now. But I just want to say a personal thank you to you for that. But it's no goodbyes here, because we shop in Morrison's, we shop in Tesco's, and I know that I'm going to see you obviously making a difference in neurodiverse going forward. So I'm more than happy. But again, enjoy your holiday, and I'll see you soon after this.
Thank you, Charlotte. You forgot to admit that in Morrison's from now on, it's a different approach, of course. And of course, you admitted to talk about the Queen, the death of our great Queen, but that's another challenge you had at that time. Without further ado, I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor to say a few words. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I stand not as Deputy Mayor, but as a relative newbie to this council. I couldn't let this moment pass, Karen, without saying a big thank you to you. Karen, I believe, has not only been a great Chief Executive Officer, but a wonderful human being. And like so many of you, I've only known Karen for just over 2 years. But from the moment I stepped into her office on that dreaded induction day, as a newbie to the council, I immediately felt at ease in her presence. Karen has been so approachable, with that open door to every single one of us, I'm sure, giving myself and others great confidence and strength to fulfill our roles as members and officers. I wish you a very long, happy, healthy retirement, but I have a feeling, Karen, it's going to be more refinement than retirement, because you still have so much to give. Every blessing for the future, Karen. You will be a tough act to follow. We will miss you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On to me then. As you would suspect, I wish I'd worked a little bit more closely with the leader on our speeches. They're almost identical. I don't know who's writing the speeches for us, but anyway, I'm only kidding. I'd just like to say, now that Karen told me earlier, I didn't know about this, that she was going to go to the Boundaries Commission. I've asked her to join Sandfields East with Lundy Island, Ted and Sean. I hope that you don't mind that, because there'll be less competition on Lundy for us three, and perhaps you as well. So that's something I'd like to look forward to. And we can have trips out there, or even play cricket out there like I did back in the 80s. Anyway, the first portreeve of Aberavon was Mr. Evan John David in 1775, when Aberavon was recognised as a minor borough, and at that time, Evan represented the Council of Aberavon, and who was the equivalent of today as the current mayor is. Oddly enough, we have the same haircut. Until Karen's appointment in 2021 as the Chief Executive of Neath Talbot County Borough Council, she was the first female in 244 years to be appointed as the head of paid services, truly a historical factor for our area. I am sure a proud moment for her and her family. I was glad to be a part of that decision process in 2020, and in 2024, we have taken the steps to appoint her successor, another female, to the top job. I have known Karen since she started work with Neath Talbot County Borough Council in 2003, as we were accountable managers together, like Tomo was, Andrew Thomas, sorry, I beg your pardon, at the time, and the lovely Mrs. Pierce. We were in different areas, of course, and together in the authority, where she first joined as the strategic coordinator within our social services department. But she came armed, as she had to that appointment, with a very varied career path. Karen began her career in the beauty industry as a trainee accountant for Revlon Manufacturing Limited in Maesteg. She worked for South Glamorgan County Council as a care assistant after leaving there to cover on a maternity cover for a colleague, and then went to Cardiff City Council, where she was the General Manager for Employment and Training, where she learned valuable skills in managing a male-orientated tradesman workforce who had more tricks up their sleeves than Harry Houdini, a baptism of fire in local government. She went on to work for Estin and the police force before returning to the council environment for Neath Talbot County Borough Council. After her first role, she then moved on to Head of Business Management for Social Services, Environmental Health and Trading Standards. She then moved to Head of Corporate Strategic and Democratic Services, and they're all here today up the back. I did wonder who you all were to begin with. I thought, with my bad eyesight, I kindly picked out a few figures there. And then, of course, finally to the top job. In 2018, she became Assistant Chief Executive and Chief Digital Officer. And finally, the top job beckoned. Head of Paid Service and Chief Executive Officer in 2021 of Neath Talbot County Borough Council. As I said, a very varied career path, and all different from those early days counting lipsticks in my stag. I would like to thank Karen on behalf of the Council for her 20-plus years service here at Neath Talbot, for her dedication, hard work, and her caring attitude to do what is best for the communities that she lives amongst. And I do hope that her successor picks up that mantle and runs with it. And on a personal level, Karen and I have been friends for years, and I wish you a long, healthy, happy retirement with your family, and I'm sure I'll bump into you. It won't be in Morrison's, that's for certain, but I'm sure I'll bump into you from time to time, and I look forward to that in the future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if I could invite the lovely Karen Jones to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How do you follow that? And thank you very much, everybody who's spoken and for your kind words. I am grateful to have this opportunity to say a big thank you to councillors past and present for the support I've had over the last 22 years. I remember coming to this building for the first time quite vividly. There was a lovely lady, Myvi, which some of you will remember, downstairs on the front desk. And what impressed me most was the fact she remembered my name when I came back for the final interview. And in my first week, the leader, Noel Crowley, I think you might know him, Mr. Mayor.
Who's he?
And the chief executive, Ken Sawyers, popped their head round the door just to say hello and to offer support. And from my early experience, that told me that this is an organisation that puts people first. 22 years on, I'm proud we are still an organisation that puts people at the centre of everything we stand for. But as we know, the council touches the lives of all of its citizens day in and day out. We are there for people at their happiest times, at their saddest times, and all of the times in between. We do it through the hundreds of services we provide with councillors and officers working together with others to enable people to have a better life. And in more recent times, we can be proud of the way we've stepped up and supported our communities through some really very, very challenging times. And you've mentioned some of them, you know, the pandemic, the skewing flooding, the war in Ukraine when we had to draw on that massive humanitarian response, inflation going through the roof, and now, of course, Tartar as well. But when I think about the last 22 years, it's hard to pinpoint anything in particular, as so much has happened in that period. Although I was saying to you earlier, Mr. Mayor, when you walk downstairs through the corridors, we still have that horrible green paint. We still haven't managed to change things like that. There've been many challenges and achievements, some really unusual events, and some interesting characters along the way, including the 2 former chief executives and all 6 political leaders. That has made it all the more interesting and enjoyable for me. I always say we're a box of all sorts, and that's what makes it really interesting. And that's why we're good at what we do, because we can understand our communities and respond around that. In the year now, like all councillors around the UK, we are faced with meeting very high demands for service, but with insufficient funding. Your officers are working very, very hard to find new ways to sustain jobs and to sustain our services. But I know that you've also got a very difficult job to do to balance the many competing demands that you know about because you live within these communities. You want to do your best. That's why you've come into public service. But the funding is just not there for you to do everything that you want to do right now. So thank you for the leadership you were showing and the support you were giving to the workforce. It's key to making sure that the council remains stable. And you haven't got to look too far away to see that when people don't take those big decisions and they don't stand up in the way that you do, that actually that puts councils and communities on a very different trajectory. So please continue to do that so that we can deliver the services that our people rely on. As I look to the future, though, I believe it's possible to imagine a much brighter future for Neath Talbot. We will find a way through the enormous squeeze on public spending. But there's no doubt that we will emerge serving our communities in different ways. I think that is inevitable. It's about doing things differently and it's about keeping focused on the difference that we can make, and we will find a pathway through that. I also believe we can be at the centre of economic growth in the region with new industries offering sustainable employment for local people, and our communities then enjoying the benefits that economic growth will bring. It will be people that will make this happen. And many of those people are sitting here in that room. Locally elected members need to continue to provide that leadership for our community to make sure our voice is heard and we set our ambitions high and we make sure we persevere and we grasp these opportunities because we can do it. So in conclusion, Mr. Mayor, as your first female chief executive and also the chief executive with the longest overall service, I would like to thank all members of council for your support and friendship. I wish you every success over the remainder of this term of office, and I know the council will be in good hands as my successor, Francis O'Brien, takes up the role. Thank you very much.
Well, obviously, Karen, thank you for that. And on behalf of us all, thank you. And we have a small gift for you from Council. It's not a bomb.
Thank you very much.
Is John Fry here today? Julie? Yeah, okay, that's lovely. Thank you. And I got some. Was this? Was it? Simon Niall? It's not him, is it? Oh. Oh. Sorry, Simon. You better sit a bit closer to me, fella, in the future. Before I call council to a close this afternoon, I'd just like to make one sort of statement, if I can. Given my mayoral role, I have to catch up on our council teams meetings in a place where I can and when I got time to do it, because I can't make all the meetings, as you know. The Standards Committee met this week, and they asked the three political leaders of this council what they were doing primarily to have a cohesive council. And they all gave their respective perspective from a political group point of view, and it was very interesting. Karen just alluded to something that I'm going to follow on to. For those of you who were here when I joined the council back in 2014 as an elected member, I'm sure Alan's not here. I got Alan's name in here, but I'm saying this to probably you'll remember. Yeah. Steve will definitely remember this, but I wanted to point out Alan for a particular reason. But anyway, I would remember, and I used to sit with you in a different seat in full council. I used to sit with the Plaid Cymru group. They were the biggest second group at the time, and I used to come down and sit in my dad's seat was down there. And I was told at the time of the leader of the council that I wasn't allowed to sit there, which I found was very strange. And it always troubled me. However, I was talking recently to Carl John and Carl Jordan, sorry. We sit together on a fire authority, and him and I were chatting, and he said that he was finding it difficult as he didn't know many members. Probably like us all, we sit in our silos, we sit in with our political groups, and we don't interact pretty much as we should do to be a cohesive council. Therefore, I'm going to suggest, and this is my own talk to anybody this other than Craig. I did ask Craig if this was a constitutional thing, whereby people look at poor old Councillor Going Up John, he's sitting on his bloody own, man. You know, sorry, Councillor, that shouldn't be the case. Anyhow. Get away with me. Oh, well, that's a fair point. But you could sit on the end there. Look, I don't come this way. Anyway, so you all remember the famous musical "The King and I," written by Rodgers and Hammerstedt, and the great film which followed with Yul Brynner. And we'll all remember that song, don't we? Getting to know you, getting to feel all of... Nobody else joining in? I don't expect Sean to know, he's a little bit young. Anyhow, what I'm suggesting, ladies and gentlemen, is that every time we meet in this chamber, if we could just come in and sit with somebody we don't really know, and let's get to know each other a little bit better, that would help towards a cohesive council. So Labour, Plaid Cymru, Independents, Liberal, can we just swap our seats and just sit anywhere in order to try and work together as a council for the future of what we need to do? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I call this meeting to a close.